could just let me know as soon as other members join, Council Member Ward and Public Authority Member Aguirre. Let me know as soon as they join.
Okay, Councilmember Ward just joined. We're just waiting on Public Authority Member Aguirre.
Okay, so we'll get started just to respect everybody's time. Good morning. I'll call to order the June 15th, 2020 Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District's Public Financing Authority meeting. We now have certain protocols for virtual meetings, and we want to ensure that the highest possible level of transparency and access for the community. Obviously, please bear with us as we continue to adjust to this new format. And to reduce background noise, please mute your device unless you're addressing the authority. If you would like to speak, please type speak on the conversation box located on the bottom middle of our screen. And just for reference, I'm sorry, should you want to communicate with me, you could do so through Gerardo Ramirez Borja. He's one of the participants today, so feel free to reach out to him directly and he will get in contact with me. So we'll begin with roll call to confirm members' attendance. When I call your name, please unmute yourself and say present. Councilmember Ward.
Present.
Councilmember Kersey.
Present.
Public Authority Member Wick.
Present.
Public Authority Member Aguirre. Okay, thank you for your attendance. Welcome to all the members of the public who are joining us through YouTube Live. For those of you viewing this record, to get more information, please reach out to my EIFD Authority Coordinator, Gerardo Ramirez, at 619-236-6688. Or at J Ramirez Bor, it's JRAMIREZBORJ at sandiego.gov. First, we're going to start with non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on the agenda and non-agenda items via a web format accessible through the agenda. Staff is now going to read out loud any public comment submitted per city public comment protocol.
Thank you, Chair. No public comment was received.
Thank you. The next item is Authority Coordinator Legal Counsel comment. Do you have any comments?
Good morning. This is Deputy City Attorney David Powell. I have no comments for the authority this morning.
Wonderful. Thank you. The next item is board member comment. Do any members have comments? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. So we're going to move on to our action item, and we're going to start with item number 1, approval of record of action for the authority meeting on Monday, March 9th, 2020. Is there any public comment to be read regarding this item?
There is no public comment for this item.
Now we'll go to authority comments.
I'm happy to move the item.
Okay, that's Councilmember Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay, so now we're going to take the vote. I need a call on each member, so please read out loud a yay, nay, or abstain. Councilmember Ward.
That's a yes. Sorry, it froze.
Thank you. Councilmember Kersey.
Aye.
Public Authority Member Wick.
Aye.
Okay, and Public Authority Member Aguirre. Okay, wonderful. Motion carries unanimously with Public Authority Member Aguirre absent. Now we're going to move on to item number 2, the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District Operating and Capital Improvement Program budget for fiscal year 2021 and the annual review of district's infrastructure's financing plan, the IFP. Please introduce yourself and give us your title.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the Board of the Public Financing Authority for the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. My name is Armando Dominguez. I'm a Senior Management Analyst for the City of San Diego Planning Department. I'm joined today by Tom Tomlinson, Assistant Director, and Marco Camacho, Program Manager, both with the Planning Department. Also with us on the line are partners from other departments that help us staff the district. We are here today to present the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget for the district. Today's actions before the authority are the approval of the district's operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2021, as well as the approval of the annual review of the infrastructure financing plan. The proposed FY 2021 total budget is $1.22 million. This budget was developed to balance with projected FY 2021 district revenues, as well as a carry forward balance from FY 2019. The budget has three main expenditure categories: city staff services. The main operating expense for the district is the reimbursement of city staff services, such as legal services, financial reporting, and budgeting services. Contractual services. For FY 2021, there will be an annual independent financial audit contract, as well as a contract for as-needed fiscal consultant services in preparation for the bond issuance in FY 22. And finally, the largest component of the district's budget is for capital improvement expenses. We anticipate allocating 93% of the total revenues, which is $1.137 million, to La Media road improvements, city project number S-15018. This road improvement is a part of the Otay Mesa transportation network and also part of the designated truck route for the port of entry. The adopted amended budget for the current year is $797,000. As you can see in the second column of our budget summary table, $70,000 is for operating expenses and $727,000 is for capital projects. This table illustrates the breakdown by expenditure category for both FY 20 and 21. The year-end FY 20 operating expenditure projection is anticipated to come in 2.6% under budget. Taking the current year activity into account and the projected activity for FY 21, the proposed FY 21 operating budget has been increased by $15,500. Actual revenues in the current year are projected to be 8.9% higher than budgeted at year end. Due to revenue trending higher than budgeted in FY 20 and the anticipated revenue for FY 21 being estimated at $1.18 million, there is a $412,000 increase in the FY 21 revenue budget and a $409,000 increase in the capital budget. This detail is all displayed in attachments 1 and 2 to the staff report. So one new requirement in the government code established by the recent amendments of the EIFD law is the annual review of the district's infrastructure financing plan. It is through this review that the district can pursue any amendments that might be necessary and appropriate. For the current year, staff has no recommended amendments to the IFP. This concludes the presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions that you might have.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any public comment regarding this item, Gerardo?
There is no public comment for this item. However, I do want to note, folks, that the presentations for this meeting cannot be seen through a mobile device. So if you're using a phone or some type of mobile device, the presentation will not be seen. You have to be using some type of laptop or a desktop. So just wanted to make that note.
Wonderful, thank you. So now we'll go over to authority comments. Okay, I'll take that as nobody, I don't see anybody with their hand raised. Gerardo, do you?
Nope, I don't see anybody on the chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the planning department for the presentation and for bringing this forward. Obviously, the approval of this budget is crucial to the Otay Mesa community. Due to the pandemic, certain projects and services in the city of San Diego have slowed down. However, by approving this budget, we can ensure residents and business owners that development in Otay Mesa, the South Bay's economic engine, continues to move forward. I'd like to know more about Assembly Bill 116. First off, was the city of San Diego or the city attorney's office notified of AB 116 before it was approved October 9th?
David Powell, Deputy City Attorney. Councilmember Moreno, I inquired about this issue and with other attorneys who had previously advised the board. My understanding is that from the city attorney's perspective, we were not previously notified
Okay.
and did not come to. It was not until after the passage of the bill. But I will. I know Richard Eyre is also on the line with debt management, and he could potentially address the knowledge from city staff's perspective as well.
Thanks, David. Yeah, there's Richard Eyre, debt manager with debt management department. We were not aware prior to the passage of the bill. Looking back at some emails, staff was notified upon the passage of the bill, and and then jumped into action with the with all the changes that AB 116 brought, and that's where a lot of those things are being taken care of at today's meeting.
Okay, well, thank you. Just for the public authority members, my office will be reaching out directly to the author of AB 116, which is State Assembly Member Ting, to work together. Obviously, I look forward to working closely with the community, the public authority members, and staff to make sure Otay Mesa continues to prosper. Now, with that, do I hear a motion for approval of the Operation and Capital Improvement Program budget for fiscal year 21 and annual review of the district's infrastructure financing plan?
Councilmember, we do have Councilmember Kersey.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Councilmember Kersey, I apologize.
No, thank you, Chair Moreno. Appreciate it. I'm happy to make that motion to approve the staff recommendation on this item. And I just wanted to clarify from staff, obviously these improvements to La Media Road have been desired by the community for years and years. I actually remember taking a tour down there with Ms. Moreno's predecessor, Mr. Alvarez, and him showing me the backup along the road there and all the improvements that needed to be made. And that was 8 years ago. So I'm wondering, with this allocation here of the 1.3 million, how much of those improvements will be done? What percentage of the overall project cost is this going to fund?
Well, what's currently appropriated to the project is $12 million from several funding sources, including developer contributions, and Otay Mesa FBA fund and EIFD capital fund. The estimated total cost of this project is $42.7 million. So out of the $42 million that's estimated, we've only appropriated $12 million and expended $1.6 million.
Okay. Wow. That's a big project, much needed.
Yeah.
And what's the time frame? So with this allocation, where does this get us in the engineering process?
Councilmember, this is Tom Tomlinson, Assistant Director, Plan Department. The funding in the CIP to date will fully fund all design, environmental permitting, right-of-way acquisition, and essentially get it to a shovel-ready position. Concurrently, staff is looking at additional FBA fees to fund this project, as well as grants, both state and federal.
Okay. Great. Well, I certainly appreciate those efforts. This is a project that is a long time coming. Obviously, the big price tag and a big benefit when it's done. So happy to make the motion to approve the staff recommendation on this item.
Thank you. with that, maybe one of the things that you made me think of, Councilmember Kersey, is maybe it would be prudent of this body to get an update from the city on that CIP at the next meeting. Would that be something that you would like to hear? Or any public authority member, would they like to hear an update on where the La Media project stands? That's something I'd be happy to put forward.
I think that's a great idea, Vivian. This is Authority Member Wick, and I think an update of that CIP project as well as any other CIP projects that the city has in Otay Mesa.
Okay, well, look for that and in a future meeting. So I do have a motion by Councilmember Kersey. Can I get a second?
I'll second Mark's motion.
Okay, so I have, we're gonna take the vote, and I'm same as the record, the minutes. I'm gonna call each member, so please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Councilmember Ward?
Yes.
Councilmember Kersey?
Yes.
Okay, Public Authority Member Wick?
Yes.
Public Authority Member Aguirre?
Yes.
Wonderful, motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move on to item number 3, which is the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District Fiscal Year 2019 Annual Report. Please introduce yourself and give us your title as well.
Good morning again. My name is Armando Dominguez. I'm a senior management analyst with the planning department. And the next item I will be presenting is the fiscal year 2019 Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District Annual Report. Today's action will be to approve and adopt the district's fiscal year 2019 annual report. On October 9th, 2019, AB 116 implemented several changes to EIFD laws. A new requirement that was implemented was the preparation and adoption of the district's annual report. Some of the key requirements of the annual report include that the annual report must be adopted on or before June 30th after holding a public hearing. Another requirement is that written copies of the draft report be posted on the EIFD website and made available to the public 30 days prior to the hearing. The EIFD draft annual report was posted on the district's website on May 7th, meeting this requirement. And lastly, a written notice was required to be mailed to every landowner and occupant of the district. The City of San Diego mailroom mailed out the public notice on May 8th, again, meeting this requirement by doing so. The government code clearly prescribes the required components of the annual report. First, a description of all projects undertaken by the district in the fiscal year. Secondly, the report must include a chart comparing actual revenues and expenditures. 3, amount of tax increment revenues received. Number 4, an assessment of the status of the district's projects. And lastly, the amount of revenues expended to assist private businesses. I'll quickly touch on each of these responses that we covered in the report. For the first requirement, the only project currently being funded by the district is La Media Road improvements. This project will widen La Media Road between SR 905 and Siempre Viva Road. The total estimated cost of the project, as discussed before, is $42.7 million per Public Works latest estimate and in the FY21 proposed budget. A chart was prepared to compare actual revenues and expenditures. The FY19 total revenues for the district were $571,000, while total actual expenditures were only $145,000. A total of $369,000 was appropriated to the La Media Road, but no capital expenditures were incurred by the EIFD fund. According to the Public Works Department, in fiscal year 2019, work continued on the environmental and design phase for the La Media Road Improvements CIP. And lastly, the government code requires the report to address any revenues that were expended to assist private businesses. No funds were used for this purpose. This concludes the presentation. Again, staff is available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now, are there any public comments to be read regarding this item?
There is no public comment for this item.
Okay. Now we're going to go to authority comments. Do we have any comments from our authority members? Okay, so there are none. Thank you to the planning department for your work on this annual report. I'm obviously pleased to see that the fiscal year 19 activity for the district do not reveal any misstatements or non-compliance, so thank you for that. Do I hear a motion for approval of the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District fiscal year 2019 annual report?
I'll make that motion, Councilmember Ward.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll
Second.
them.
That was Public Authority Member Wick. Now we're going to take the vote. Councilmember Ward,
Yes.
Councilmember Kersey,
Yes.
Public Authority Member Wick,
Yes.
and Public Authority Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, and so that motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move on to our informational agenda item number 4, and that's fiscal year 2019 independent financial audit for the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. Please introduce yourself and give us your title.
Good morning again. My name is Armando Dominguez for the third time. And another requirement implemented by AB 116 is the preparation of an independent financial audit. As you might remember, we entered into a contract with Macias, Genie, and O'Connell CPA from back in March of 2020. Peter George, a partner of this firm, is on the line to present the audit report. Peter, take it away.
Thank you, Armando. And good morning, Chairwoman Moreno and members of the authority. Let's see if I can scroll through the next slide here. I apologize. Okay, here we go. So good morning. My name is Peter George. I am an audit partner with MGO, and I'm here this morning to present the results of the first annual Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District Annual Financial Statement Audit for the year ended June 30, 2019. I'm going to go through and discuss our audit responsibilities and a summary of the deliverables we provided to the authority, go through some required communications to the authority based on a letter we provided. I have one slide just to update the respective board members on upcoming GASB pronouncements and audit standards, and be happy to take any questions anybody may have. So with respect to our responsibilities and deliverables, we did, as mentioned, perform an audit of the district's governmental activities and each major fund as of and for the year ended June 30, 2019. And when you see here governmental activities and each major fund under generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP, which is GASB for the district, we do look at the financial statements of the district by its opinion units. Those opinion units being your governmental activities as one opinion unit, all the different funds that the district may have. So in this case, for June 30, 2019, the district had 2 funds, a special revenue fund and a capital project fund. We do look at those 2 funds respectively, individually, and tailor our audits for those funds specifically. And collectively, those funds and the governmental activities make up what we call the district's basic financial statements, and that's the collective opinion for the district financial statements and for each respective opinion unit. As mentioned, we performed the audit with respect to generally accepted accounting principles, or GASB, and to express an opinion that the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with GASB. We performed the audits under 2 sets of professional audit standards, generally accepted auditing standards, which follows for all audits that are provided in the United States, and specifically for the district, we did it under government auditing standards as well. And really, those standards require that we plan to perform the audit to obtain reasonable rather than absolute assurance that the district's financial statements are free of material misstatement, whether caused by fraud or caused by error. And again, happy to report, when you look at the opinion we provided on the district's basic financial statements, we did provide what we consider an unmodified opinion, which is the cleanest opinion we can provide to an audit entity. And in addition to the opinion on the district's basic financial statements, we did provide an unmodified opinion on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. And that opinion is the last 2 pages of our audit report. Just going to go through and hit them all here. So with respect to our communications, we are required under professional standards to communicate to the authority the results of our audit. And I think you should have received that 6-page letter as well. And we're supposed to go through each of these bullet points. So what were our responsibilities in relation to the audit, which I just mentioned? We performed the audit under 2 sets of professional standards, generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. We communicated the planned scope and timing of the audit, as Armando mentioned, in our contract that was executed in early March. We are compliant as an audit firm and all the members of your engagement team with all ethical requirements regarding independence, whether with generally accepted auditing standards and or government auditing standards. So no issues with our ethical responsibilities or independence requirements. We do go through some significant accounting practices and policies over at the district, and the letter discusses 3 of them. Significant accounting policies, being that this was the first annual report for the district. Basically, the district adopts most of the significant accounting policies of the city, and there wasn't really anything unique or new to the district with respect to accounting policies. As new GASBs come online over the course of the future, depending on their applicability to the district will basically establish procedures and policies to be in compliance with those professional standards. With respect to significant accounting estimates, based on the first year financial statements, there really were no significant accounting estimates incorporated into these financials. All the information and numbers represented in the audit report were basically supported by sound supporting documentation. And with respect to financial statement disclosures, we just always want to point out when you read the notes that there could always be some notes that are a little bit more sensitive with respect to the authority's users and readers. And we highlighted too the commitments and contingencies, which didn't identify any commitments or contingencies or legal matters noted against the district. And given the recent situations regarding the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact it's had on the economy, we have a subsequent events note disclosure just highlighting that to make the readers aware that the pandemic is out there and it could have an impact, even though the effects are not currently measured at this point. With respect to difficulties encountered in performing the audit, I'm happy to report we did not have any difficulties encountered. If we did, you wouldn't be hearing from me today. After the audit has been completed, we would have communicated this to the authority way back when this was potentially an issue. So happy to report no issues there. Same thing with corrected and uncorrected misstatements. The information we received from the management team over at the planning department and the finance department was clean up front. So really the audit was smooth from the perspective. It wasn't, we didn't really have any adjustments to provide to the management team. Again, no disagreements with management. Again, if we had significant disagreements that we couldn't resolve, we would have communicated to the authority earlier on in the process. Included in our communications to the authority board are representations requested for management. So as part of the annual audit process, we do request management to provide us with a certain list of representations that they provided us with everything that we requested, any other pertinent information, and that letter is included as the last 3 pages of our letter. If there was any management consultations with other independent accountants, we would have that discussion with you, but happy to report that there was no other independent auditors or accountants consulted by management. Again, as Armando noted, there was no audit findings or issues, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted in our audit for the June 30, 2019 financial statements. And the last slide here, just to go through real quick, are just some upcoming new standards that GASB has put out. We're up to GASB 96 now, and you can see here just a few items that are going to be effective for the city and for the district starting with June 30, 2020. But when you go through this list here, there's really nothing that jumps out that will impact the district as it's currently operating, as the district doesn't have any fiduciary activities, for example. There's no lease agreements currently that the district has. If it is, then by 2022, the district will be complying with GASB 87. GASB 95, you can see down here, the second to last bullet point, did come out about a couple weeks ago, and it basically, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, did postpone a lot of the effective dates of these new standards about a year or 2 years out. So it gives most of the governments an opportunity, as everybody's doing the remote working environment, to kind of get their arms around some of these new standards. And there is a new government auditing standards, the 2018 version, that is now effective for all audits under government auditing standards for June 30, 2020. So your next audit will be in compliance with this new government auditing standards. And with that, that's my presentation to the board. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments to be read regarding this item?
There are no public comments for this item.
Okay, and now we're going to go to our authority comments. Do any of our authority members have any questions or comments? I don't see any hands raised. Just want to thank staff for your work this past year. Also, thank you to George from Macias, Jeannie, and O'Connell for your work on this audit. I think, communication and transparency are of the utmost importance for this authority, and I'm glad to see the findings of the audit report reported no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that impact the district's financial statement. As one of the first EIFDs in the state of California, I think it's critical that we set the standard for transparency and thoroughness in our reporting, which this audit confirms we have done. So I'm pleased to see the progress we've made so far and moving forward with issuing bonds to constructing the projects that are so critical to building our community of Otay Mesa. Thank you. So I see Tom, did you want to make a comment? Or are you in my, no?
No,
Okay.
just other than a general comment about following on what you're saying, Councilmember, the AB 116, some of these requirements do provide for more robust reporting and auditing, which is going to help us all in the long run.
Wonderful. Do any other public authority members want to make a comment on this? This is an informational item, so no action is required. And so, oh, I see a few hands. I don't know who they are.
We have Public Authority Member Aguirre. Raise his hand.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. I had a question which was mentioned by the auditor, but it's probably a little bit tangential to this conversation. For future purposes, is there any thought on what the projected impact of the COVID-19 environment is going to be on the collection of the tax assessment?
And that's a good question. Member Aguirre, we do have note 5 as a subsequent event into the financial statements, just to again highlight that there is a pandemic out there. And again, because the pandemic is currently ongoing, it's still too early to assess the ultimate impact to revenues and the economic. It's all just going to depend on a case-by-case basis, but it's something I anticipate management will be monitoring closely when it comes to the revenues being collected. But as you know, the audit is kind of done in arrears, so we'll be assessing what revenues do come in the door through June 30, 2020. And comparing it to, prior years and what maybe was anticipated and budgets that maybe were adopted early on based on information you had at the time. So we just point that out, that we are putting that disclosure in your financial statements just to make the users aware that there is a potential impact. It's just not clear what it is at this point.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, and Tom, I see your hand up. Is it just from the previous comment?
That was a mistake, sorry.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our meeting. This meeting of the Otay Mesa Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District Public Financing Authority is officially adjourned. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is July 13th, 2020. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Thank you.